being thrown. There's no room for this in the sport. There's no room for the Davis brothers to be in the building tonight. The police escorted them out.
In the post-fight press conference, I had someone that I was going to call out, and then someone asked him, Shakur, and he said, no, someone who came into my locker room. But all the sleuths don't know who came into his locker room.
Some people do.
There's only one name that people are bringing up.
Don't you dare.
There's only one.
Don't you
I'm
dare.
not the
I ain't
one.
got time for this.
There's only one name that people are bringing up.
I don't have time.
And you know who it is.
I do know who it is. I'm not having Jake Paul.
El Gallo. El Gallo de Dorado. El Gallo. Is this?
You know what I will say?
Yeah.
If I'm Jake Paul and
Jake Paul cruiserweight.
Yeah, against
a
Gervonta 150.
40. Okay, yeah.
150,
right.
eating a bit.
Yeah.
If I'm Jake Paul and the Jake Paul Canelo fight was taken from me like that, the only way to go bigger is Gervonta Jake.
It's official, the showdown everyone was waiting for finally reached the stage. Jake Paul and Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. squared off in Las Vegas, and the press conference was anything but calm. The two traded words about legacy, knockouts, and who still has the power to draw fans back into the ring. But the night didn't stick to the script. Out of nowhere, Gervonta "Tank" Davis walked in and changed the entire atmosphere. Within seconds, the spotlight shifted. Chavez Jr., who had been center stage, was suddenly sidelined. All cameras turned to Davis, and Jake Paul's carefully planned event was no longer just about him. In one bold move, Tank hijacked the narrative and left fans buzzing about a much bigger possibility. What started as a fiery exchange between Paul and Chavez ended up becoming a stage for an even more explosive rivalry. Here's how it unfolded.
Gervonta Davis just posted that he would beat the brakes off of you if you guys fight.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be down. Let's run it. Like, I'll be super, super down.
Gervonta,
I don't know if
Gervonta needs Jake Paul. Let's be clear, right?
Is there a height limit in?
Let's start with the headline matchup. Jake Paul against Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Whatever your opinion of Jake might be, whether you see him as a disruptor in boxing or just a social media figure turned fighter, this fight represents a genuine climb in competition. Chavez Jr. isn't a YouTuber, an aging MMA fighter, or a celebrity with gloves on for the first time. He's a former world champion with a real boxing pedigree, someone who's lived in the sport since birth. For Jake, that makes this fight a defining moment. It's no longer about selling pay-per-views with hype alone. This is about stepping in with someone who has history, experience, and a name that still carries weight in the boxing world. And if Paul manages to win here, the narrative around his career could shift in a very big way.
Daddy does all the talking. I didn't know it was bring your dad to work day. You're nothing without your dad. You were born with a silver spoon in your mouth.
You like old man, that's why I brought him, because maybe you like my dad.
Now, let's be clear, Chavez Jr. may not be in his prime anymore, but his resume speaks for itself. He's a legitimate former world champion who's shared the ring with elite-level opponents. That experience doesn't just disappear, and it makes him a very real challenge. This isn't another influencer gimmick fight or a novelty matchup designed just for headlines. For Jake Paul, this is the first time he's standing across from someone with that kind of background, and it marks a major step forward. What's striking, though, is that despite Chavez's credentials, Paul is walking in as the betting favorite. That alone says a lot about where the public sees his momentum, and how much belief there is in his rise as a true contender.
Chavez Jr.
I think it's one of his toughest fights.
It's definitely his toughest fight. Jake, I feel like, has gotten stiffed a few times this year with who his opponents were gonna be. This is what I don't understand about people hating on him. He's not fighting tomato cans. Every single person that he fought had a chance to beat him, and by the way, people believed that they were probably going to beat him every time. This guy is a real boxer, so it'll be another opportunity to show that Jake Paul is a real.
And honestly, the odds make sense. Jake Paul is younger, hungrier, and still riding the wave of momentum after that blockbuster win over Mike Tyson. Now, yes, Tyson was 58 years old, and nobody is pretending that fight was against a prime Iron Mike. But context matters. That event wasn't just a circus act. It broke pay-per-view records, drew global attention, and showed that Jake can hold his composure when the entire sports world is watching. More importantly, it proved he can step onto the same stage as boxing royalty, legends with names that will echo through history, and not fold under the pressure. Tyson might have been past his best years, but the sheer magnitude of that night gave Paul the kind of experience and credibility you simply can't buy. And now, he's carrying that confidence straight into this matchup.
Professional boxers. It's only been 3.5 years. You can only make a certain amount of fights happen. And the plan was always to fight Nate Diaz after Tommy Fury, win, lose, or draw. People think there's like this ducking of professional boxers. The next fight could potentially be a professional boxer. I'm just getting started. I'm 26 years old, and there's only so much I can do.
On the other side, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. enters with something to prove, and he knows it. Over the years, critics have painted him with some harsh labels: unfocused in training, inconsistent in the ring, and a far cry from the fighter who once held a world title. His career has been overshadowed not only by the weight of his family name but also by questions about discipline and commitment. That reputation still follows him today, and it's part of the reason so many doubt whether he can rise to the occasion. For Chavez Jr., this isn't just another fight, it's a chance to silence the doubters, reclaim respect, and remind people that his story in boxing isn't finished yet.
Everybody would think Anderson Silva would beat Jake Paul. I don't think there would be a surprise element. You know what I mean? Like, you still need to have a balancing act here where that you're playing. I think Anderson is too good. Like, I don't think there would be a surprise element to that promotion. I think Chavez Jr. is a better name for it. Who Anderson just beat in boxing. Who is tough though. He's lazy as hell. He's probably overrated as hell. If his last name, if he wasn't Chavez Sr., his son, he probably would go nowhere near a world title in his life. So boxing can be manipulated in that way. But you know, he gives you a little bit more to work with, because again, the element of surprise. If is he gonna show up in shape? You're worried about guys not making weight? That guy will show up not making weight.
But for Jake Paul, this matchup isn't the final destination, it's a stepping stone. A necessary proving ground on the way to something much bigger. The real prize isn't just beating Chavez Jr., it's setting the stage for an even larger payday and a fight that could push his career into uncharted territory. And that's where Gervonta "Tank" Davis enters the picture. His sudden appearance at the press conference wasn't random, it was strategic. By inserting himself into the conversation, Davis shifted the spotlight and hinted at a showdown that would dwarf almost everything Jake has done so far. For Paul, Chavez Jr. might be the opponent in front of him, but Tank Davis is the real target looming on the horizon.
True that you made $170 million from this fight?
I made a lot of money, the most money I've made ever.
60 million households, Jake.
250 million people.
Bro, that is so
It's all downhill from here.
No, for sure.
I peaked.
Because the truth is this, once Jake Paul gets past Chavez Jr., and let's be honest, the odds suggest he probably will, the real showdown comes into focus. Standing in that next slot is none other than Gervonta "Tank" Davis. And that's the fight fans, media, and the boxing world are truly watching for. Chavez Jr. may be the opponent on paper, but Davis is the shadow looming over this entire storyline. His name alone raises the stakes and turns Jake's journey from just another boxing experiment into a potential clash with one of the sport's most dangerous stars. That's where the real intrigue lies, and that's the battle everyone's waiting to see.
Jake, what do you think of Jake?
Clown.
Yeah.
He's a clown.
Would you look at it as a joke if someone, if your team was like, yo, we want you to fight Jake Paul? Would you be like, come on, man?
I'd laugh at him. Like, you want me to fight him?
You think it'll ever come to the point where you're going to mix into, I mean, you're obviously doing the real shit, but will it ever mix into the point where the money's big enough
Yeah,
for
would you ever do a
take...
fight like that?
I feel as though in my career I can't do that.
Now it's time to shift to the real headline, the matchup that has the entire boxing world talking. All eyes are locked on November, when Jake Paul is expected to square off against none other than Gervonta "Tank" Davis. This is the fight that cuts through the noise, the one dominating conversations in gyms, podcasts, and sports media everywhere. It's not just another spectacle, it's the collision of a crossover star determined to prove he belongs and a proven knockout artist who has built his name on dismantling opponents. The buzz isn't just about who wins. It's about whether Jake Paul can truly survive against a fighter of Davis's caliber, and whether Tank can shut down the hype once and for all. This is the showdown that could define both of their careers in very different ways.
He's going to fight Jake Paul in November, and then we'll see what happens if there's an AJ fight. Be interested to go from Gervonta Davis to Anthony Joshua, but I don't think the Chavez fight is terrible. I think it's a smart bit of business.
What makes this matchup so explosive is the contrast. On one side, you've got Gervonta "Tank" Davis, one of the most feared punchers in boxing, a fighter whose power has ended nights in brutal fashion. On the other, Jake Paul, a social media phenomenon who has transformed himself into a legitimate cruiserweight, carrying size and strength that surprise even seasoned observers. The dynamic sounds almost unreal. A lightweight powerhouse daring to climb multiple weight classes to face a man who fights just shy of heavyweight territory. It's the kind of matchup that makes purists shake their heads but keeps fans glued to every update. High risk, high drama, and potentially history in the making.
Fight, what weight would it be at?
195. It would be an exhibition.
Okay, so it was going to be an exhibition, not sanctioned, but no restrictions. You can knock each other out and shit like that. It was going to be at a catch weight of 195 pounds, 10 rounds, 3 minutes. I've been trying to figure this out. Why was I a Tank hater for wanting to see Tank go up 5 pounds to get some smoke with like Teofimo Lopez or something? I just wanted to see him go up 5 pounds and fight Teofimo Lopez. And all of you are saying, you want Tank hurt, Showbiz. You a hater. You want him hurt. Then I'm convinced, okay, he's too small, but he can fight Jake at 195?
But here's the reality, in 2025, boxing isn't only about technical skill. It's about the spectacle, the storylines, and the show that comes with it. And that's exactly why this fight is drawing so much attention. Still, when you strip away the noise and look strictly at the facts, the edge tilts heavily toward Gervonta "Tank" Davis. He brings fight-ending power in both hands, blistering speed that few can match, and a resume filled with world-class experience. On top of that, his ring IQ, the ability to read opponents, adjust on the fly, and stay 3 moves ahead, sets him apart. In short, Davis checks every box. Power, speed, discipline, and experience. He's not just dangerous, he's the complete package, and that makes him the most formidable test Jake Paul has ever dared to face.
For skill, none of these guys can mess with me. Like, nobody. Like, I feel like my skills is way better than like Floyd. Like if I'm on my game. Well, I take that back. Probably hand in hand. But skill-wise, nobody on TV that's fighting right now have more skills than me. Nobody. Like, talking about top to bottom list of fighters that's fighting.
There is, however, one factor that simply can't be ignored: size. Jake Paul doesn't just walk into the ring slightly bigger than Tank Davis, he towers over him in weight. The gap isn't minor, it's significant, the kind of difference that changes how punches land, how pressure builds, and how fatigue sets in over the course of a fight. For Jake, that natural bulk is his biggest advantage. He's used to carrying cruiserweight power, while Tank is moving up from the lightweight division. In boxing, size isn't everything, but when the difference is this stark, it can tilt the balance in ways no one can overlook.
What weight would it be at?
195.
Oh, wow. So he would go all the way from 40 to 95?
Yeah, I mean, it would be an exhibition.
Okay. But, and so what does that mean? Is that 3-minute rounds?
Yeah, 10 3-minute rounds.
And when you say exhibition, like, what are the restrictions on that?
No restrictions, just the fact that, like, we couldn't actually get it.
Jake Paul steps into the ring weighing north of 190 pounds, carrying the frame and strength of a true cruiserweight. And that size isn't just for show, he delivers real stopping power with his shots. Just ask Tyron Woodley, who learned firsthand how quickly one perfectly timed punch from Jake can end a fight. That's the danger Gervonta Davis faces here. For all his speed and precision, one slip, one mistimed exchange, and Jake has the weight and power to make it count. It doesn't take a dozen punches, it only takes one clean connection to flip the script and put Tank on the canvas. That threat lingers every second the fight goes on.
Super skilled. Even though he's smaller than Jake.
It's like you with Mayweather. When you beat Mayweather, you were way bigger than Mayweather. That's why you won.
First person to beat him in history, and he still didn't pay me. Allegedly, in my opinion. Fuck off.
There's one factor you simply can't overlook, and that's size. Jake Paul doesn't just edge out Gervonta Davis on the scales, he outweighs him by a wide margin. This isn't a minor gap in pounds, it's a major difference that could reshape how the entire fight plays out. At nearly 200 pounds, Jake brings the kind of frame Tank has never had to face before. Every jab carries extra weight, every clinch feels heavier, and every exchange forces Davis to deal with a fighter who is naturally much larger. In a sport where size and leverage can matter just as much as skill, that disparity could be the wild card that changes everything.
Tank was looking past Roach, and he wanted that Jake Paul fight, which I think Jake Paul would have beaten. Jake is way too big. Tank is 5'5", 135, soaking wet. Y'all think Tank is too small for 140. He ain't beating no heavyweight. I'm not joking. I don't think he would have hurt Jake. He would have to jump up to reach, but I don't think he would have hurt him. I tell you this, it would have gone the distance, and people would have been laughing their asses off and it wouldn't have been good for Tank's brand. I tell you that. That fight would have went the distance. Soon as 5'5" Tank is looking at a 6'2", 6'3" Jake Paul, y'all was like, hold, wait a second. And Jake Paul be on spread out pause with that arm out and stepping back. And bro, I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you. But that's a cap. Fine. We'll never get to fight anyway. So we'll never know.
Jake Paul comes in weighing over 190 pounds, and with that frame comes serious punching power. This isn't hype, it's been proven. Just ask Tyron Woodley, who found himself on the receiving end of a clean right hand that ended the night in an instant. That's the danger factor in this fight. Paul doesn't need to dominate every round or outclass Tank Davis technically. All it takes is one opening, one slip in defense, and Jake has the raw strength to make it count. For Tank, the margin for error is razor thin, because against a man this much bigger, one mistake could be all it takes to hit the canvas.
Why you not coming back to fight? Why you not coming back to fight? So I look at the fight game, I said, okay. I said, you know, fighters fighting, they make 3 million, 4 million, 6 million, 7 million. Some may make 10 or 20 million. But I'm doing exhibitions and I'm making 20, 25 million, 100 million for exhibitions. So why would I come back and fight and get a guaranteed 35 million when I'm doing exhibitions and getting 100?
Tank Davis has never faced an opponent built like Jake Paul. This isn't a sparring session, and it's definitely not a show fight, it's the real thing. Jake's size and power make him unlike anyone Tank has ever stood across from. And that's the risk. For all of Tank's speed and technical brilliance, he's stepping into uncharted territory. If Jake lands clean, just one solid punch, it could shut the lights out and end Tank's night before he ever finds his rhythm. That possibility is what makes this matchup so dangerous and so captivating.
You know, since the word has been floating around, the rematch is happening for sure. Just keep an eye out for August. There's a date floating around that might very well be that date. I can assure you guys that it's coming this summer for sure.
My man, you just made my day saying that, man. And I'm telling you, I beg to differ with regard to what took place. So let me just say you're the champ.
Thank you.
I'll leave it at that.
So why would Gervonta, Tank Davis even take a fight like this? The answer is simple: money. This isn't about chasing championship belts, climbing sanctioning body rankings, or polishing a legacy. It's about securing one of the biggest paydays of his career. Tank has seen the blueprint before. Floyd Mayweather walked the same path when he fought Logan Paul, turning an unconventional matchup into a financial windfall. Davis knows the formula: step in with a massively popular YouTuber, cash in on the global audience, and avoid the political headaches that come with chasing title fights. For Tank, it's less about proving something in the ring and more about cashing a check outside of it. Same strategy, different names, and the numbers are just too big to ignore.
Originally,
I think he was here. He came in my locker room.
Shakur Stevenson?
He wasn't in my locker room.
Jake Paul?
Next question.
Man, god damn, that's not the Gervonta I know.
But here's the twist most people don't realize: Tank Davis is already tied to another fight. He's scheduled to run it back with Lamont Roach in a rematch, a bout that's locked in to take place before anything with Jake Paul can even happen. On paper, that should be Tank's immediate focus. Yet when you look at the way he's carrying himself, the press conference appearance, the public comments, it's clear where his eyes really are. The energy isn't on Roach, it's on the massive payday waiting with Jake Paul. And that's where the risk comes in. If Tank overlooks Roach while chasing the bigger prize, it could all unravel. One slip in that rematch, one bad night, and the multi-million-dollar spectacle with Jake could vanish before it ever gets signed. In boxing, distractions are dangerous, and this one could cost Tank more than he expects.
Oh, nice double left hook by Roach to the body and then to the head. Right there it is. Oof. And Davis just got backed up with a counter right from Roach.
That's a big moment in
with the left. Oh, and that right, but Davis took off some of the steam of the punch, but still, Roach leading with right.
He took a knee.
He took a knee. What is he doing?
He forgot his...
Nice combination from Roach. Best in here. Oh, another right hand, another right left by Roach. Nice combination. Got just over around 11 as well.
Maybe him getting caught.
Davis fighting on even terms here in the 11th. Both of them have landed.
Has to keep doing that. Roach said the familiarity knows his weaknesses. It's one thing to say it.
The decision is a majority draw.